Hi and welcome. This is Heather Mansy with Women Who Rise, the success podcast for ambitious women. I have an absolutely incredible guest today, and I'm so excited for all of our listeners to get to meet her and get to know a little bit about what makes her such a phenomenal woman. This is the opportunity to really find out more about how maybe you can level up your life, your career, your entrepreneurship, your corporate life, whatever that is. And Bengtzen is one of these incredible people that I had the good fortune to meet in 2018 from a mutual coaching group. And her rise in the last 8 years, I think, is just stunning. She is a phenomenal business owner. She has multiple companies that she has opened. She has created a massive downline in her last company with Real. She has launched her affiliation with the EXP, which is just extraordinary. And she is up to so much more. And I'll let her share all of that with you and how you can maybe learn from her in the future. But first of all, I just want to welcome my special guest, Bengtzen. Thank you so much for being here today and welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm super grateful. This is going to be really fun, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I am really excited. Well, so one of the things that, as I was thinking about this podcast, is just the fact that I got to, see you, and I was already impressed by you when we first met in 2018. And then when I saw you again last fall, it was on a stage, and I remember that I was hearing your name quite a bit in the few years leading up to that. I was hearing it in, high-level coaching circles in the real estate world and things like that. And I was not aware really exactly all that you were up to, but I knew that it was big. And since then, I've gone to your She Summit. I've seen you on a very big stage in Cabo. I've watched you do really extraordinary things and started following you on your socials. And it's just incredible to me what you're up to. So the first thing that really struck me was, 20 years ago, would spring of 20 years ago have had any kind of window into where you would be 10 years later? And then again, would spring at 10 years ago have understood or had any window into where you are today? And kind of how did that occur, on the inside?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. I love it. And the answer would be that it's a hard no, meaning no way I would have thought 20 years ago I would be where I am today. It's been a wild ride. And so when I got into real estate, I was in my early 20s. And I don't know that I had a lot of career ambition, Heather. I was like, I thought I would sell real estate and it would be fun and I'd have some babies and it would be extra income to my household. Like that was my mindset. And what ended up happening is I got my first, I won't bore you with all of it, but I got my first transaction and my first paycheck. Because I was a hairstylist before, which back in the day you got paid with cash and it was just a thing, right? But I remember getting my first paycheck and I was like $10,000 and I never had $10,000 in my bank account. And it was like, oh, this is addicting. Okay, I'm here for that. And so I became a top producer for like 10 years. And then I turned it into a team. And going into a team, I had no idea what I was doing. And then from a team to where I'm at today, it would be a no. Like I just really didn't ever envision where I would be. Now, though, if you ask me that question, the spring today at 44 years old, who I am, can picture where I'm at in 10 years from now. Does that make sense? But yes. The young spring at 23, if you would have told me at 23 where I'd be at 33 and 33 to 43, I would not have ever imagined I'd be where I'm at today.
Yeah, it's well taken because I understand that I do think it's easier to look back than it is to look forward.
Yeah.
Because you can kind of understand how you got there, and sometimes not always.
Right.
But looking forward is harder. Although I do think it gets easier with time, because I think as you mature and as you learn to rise forward, or as you accomplish one thing after another, you begin to know what you're capable of, and then maybe you dream a little higher. So one of the important things I think around any successful woman or anyone is their support system and what it is that every day, and this can be internal, external, family, you name it, what it is every day that allows a person who's at a really high level or even who did grow, as you did in that last decade, what is the kind of rocket fuel, that you have in your, or solid foundation that you have in your background, in your life that we don't see on camera that allows you to be you?
Yeah, well, there's two parts, and I don't want to necessarily go back to what we were talking about, but when I say the spring now can picture where she's at in 10 years, it's exactly the question you just asked me. Is because the last 10 years, I have had a lot of rocket fuel behind me, and that rocket fuel has come from, I have massively invested in myself. Like I recognize that me as Spring, the human, my identity, how I see myself and like what I am putting out there is the strongest force in human nature, right? Meaning like we all perform to the level that we see ourselves. And so I have spent a ton of money on coaching me, like as a human, from like how the brain operates to health to biohacking. Like I understand that. And so one of the things, Heather, is part of the rocket fuel has been me understanding the power to create, and not create from like a woo-woo, but to create like design what you want and execute it. And then the other rocket fuel that is behind me is I am very leveraged. So one of the rocket fuels I have is I'm married to an amazing man. I post about this online quite often, that like who you marry is the biggest decision you're going to make. Because they either help move you forward or they're going to hold you back, right? So I am married to somebody who lets me just be, and he's cheering me on and he's encouraging and all those things. And then on the leverage part, I am like massively leveraged on the people in my household, to people in my real estate business, to my other businesses. Like I don't do it all. And you and I were literally just talking about this before we popped on camera. You don't do it all either, right?
Yeah.
And so that really starts creating who you become, of like when you can stand in your power of like, I know I'm good at this, and I'm going to stay in my zone of genius, and I'm going to have other people help me with their zone of genius, starts creating massive momentum.
I love that so much. And the fact that you really decided that you were worth the investment, and that you wanted to do that you wanted to say, like, let me figure out who is either doing something better. And you mentioned also from a really holistic perspective, and I'm, pretty deep into this stuff too. I call myself a biohacker, although compared with, what I call real biohackers, I'm nowhere in there. But it is extraordinary to think about yourself as this editable, being that can receive more instruction at a later life than we ever had maybe before, and that it can add to who we are, and it can it can be in ways that we've never thought of, such as working on that internal self, how you view yourself, and things like that. What are there's actually a couple questions that I have off of what you last spoke about. One, what are some of the things that you do that you think absolutely moved the needle for you in a massive way, just on your internal self? Because again, this is about hacking that. And then the second one that I wanted to ask just from that is, what does a supportive partner look like to you? What is that really in the granular, like day to day or over a lifetime?
Yeah. So let's start with the first question. So when you can start to understand just how human behavior and nature works, is when you can start to change it. And so first of all, I don't want to say dumb it down, but I'm going to give you a context that we all can understand, because we all use computers or iPhones or whatever, right? Every single one of us is formed by our belief system. In our belief systems, our programming that we're programmed with from our parents or their grandparents and their grandparents. Like they say that you can determine somebody's wealth by the zip code they're born in, because we become a product of who we all surround ourselves with, right? Like the way we think, what we consume. It's why like the power of social media, and even television programming. Television was programming, is what they would call it, right? So when you can start to understand that human behavior is your belief system, then you can start to change it. So to give you the context of why I said I will give you something we can all understand is the computer. There's a computer that is like a Microsoft DOS, right? The old crappy programming that was great, but now there's like the new iOS Mac operating system, right? The human brain is the same way. A lot of us are running off the old crappy Microsoft DOS programming that the belief systems that we were either brought up with our childhood that don't serve us anymore, or things that are negative that have happened to us or whatnot. And when you can understand like, oh, I'm telling myself the same 60,000 negative thoughts a day. Mm-hmm. When I can go in and change that, and let's go upgrade my mindset. That's when it really started to shift for me. So like 4 years ago, end of 2020, I went to a training called Upgrade. And it was basically that was neuroscience to really understand how you can reprogram, because a lot of the things I was doing were beliefs that were passed on from my mom or my grandparents or whatever. Like, think about it. Like, my mom was born in the 50s, dude. That's 2025. Like, the way they thought in the 50s compared to today is apples and oranges, right?
Huge difference. Yeah.
So different. Yeah. But we have that, right? And so, when you can understand that, so how can you change it? First of all, you've got to design what you want. So like we get in life what we think what we deserve. And a lot of times we're taking more time designing our vacations. Like, you're going to Europe here. You probably have spent some time designing, right?
Yeah.
Or we design our businesses or these podcasts, but we don't take the time to sit down and design the life that we want and who we want to be, right? So taking the time to design it. And then the second piece of that is resolving what's holding you back from getting it. So what crappy belief system, what's the story you're telling yourself around that? And there's ways that you can, I won't get into that. Go check out Upgrade. Like, they can help you with this, but understanding that you can get rid of that and be like, wait a minute, is that true? Or that was maybe true like 50 years ago, but like, no, that's not true today. Mm-hmm. And when you start seeing that, so that's where, like, when you said earlier, like, I've had a massive shift over 8 years. I've actually had a massive shift over 4 years.
Okay.
In the last 4 years, like, my life has like skyrocketed. And it was just understanding those two concepts, like design what you want, get very purposeful, reward yourself for creating it. So like the human brain, like, reward yourself that you can have more, and resolve what's holding you back. And it's been really powerful for me. It's been cool to experience. So
yeah, and I love that you touched on that, because it could be so many different types of programming that a person is dealing with. It could be from friends, family, high school experiences. It's like we say, the human brain. I mean, you fall and spill something at age 4, and your mom, who's so important to you, goes, "You are so clumsy." You can literally meet that person at age 25 or 30, and they'll say, "Oh, don't ask me to do X because I'm so clumsy, I might drop it." And it's just, this is a program that has been written in, that they did not have any awareness that this was a program, and that it's not an always scenario, that there's no physical thing called clumsy, unless you really do have some sort of a physical issue. And I love that you kind of touched on this, and also about how, what it is that could be holding you back, because it's not just, I think, this kind of reverse, or this programming that might have been in our past, that we may not understand or even know about, but also that it could be what we believe we deserve as humans. And I really do find so many people that I've mentored that have come up through, my company, or that I've, I always said every babysitter we ever had, we contributed to in some way. We were like, "Hey, what degree are you going for? What are you going to do when you get older?" And my husband and I were always just trying to have them think outside the box a little bit more, or just outside the box that is them. And that deservingness, I think, is huge, because if you had a past relationship that maybe poured negativity into you, whether that's family or a significant other, whatever it is, or just life experiences as a whole, or you just didn't have life experiences that poured positivity and success into you, and that you didn't have a legacy of that, you might not believe you not only are capable, but that you do not deserve these things. And that's a deeper programming that, I mean, really is, for me, it's almost like heart wrenching to think about, because I know so many people that they, to this day, there's a deservingness issue that they have. And I can see it blocks them, even though they are legitimately talented, extraordinary human beings that, in my understanding, could just go blow the roof off of anything. But we've got to get out of that. So one of the things you talked about how is upgrade. And then, I love that you said that in the last 4 years, you've really had a meteoric rise, because that's sort of what my understanding was as well. But I went, is that really possible? Because she's kind of a badass. Like, did that all happen in 4 years? And so I'd love to just talk briefly about, and yes, I want you to answer the question as well on, what is a supportive partner? But then I'd love it if you can speak on what you've actually created in 4 years, because I think it can inspire other people to see that you really can go big, and you don't have to do it over 20 years. You can just hit a spark, hit like a third gear and do it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Okay, this partner, here's the thing. Who you marry, like, determines, like, that's who you spend your intimate time with, your, like, all of it, right? And so you're going to marry, like, somebody supportive. It looks different to whoever you are, right? Like, my marriage might not be attractive to somebody else and vice versa. But for me, Brian is 100% like, he's my biggest fan. And so if there's something that I want, he is like, probably believes in me more than I believe in myself. And so I would tell any woman, like, you just have to get in alignment of, you're growing together or you're not, and we're growing together. Same like you, Heather, and your husband, you guys are going to do cool things, you're growing together. And so you just have to keep on continuing to be in alignment with each other and both being on your growth paths. And I would say that for a husband and or a wife. I know a lot of men that are like, my wife isn't growing, and vice versa. So it's 100% you guys are in alignment of the relationship you want to create, and they're cheering you on. In terms of like the last 4 years, I've always done well. So I don't tell you like I haven't, because I've always done well. But, and there's a but here, because my programming capped me from age 23 to 24 to probably age 39, 38, 39. I pretty much made the same amount of money in real estate. It didn't matter if I had a team or a solo agent or a small team or a large team, or the economy was great. Like, I made roughly the same amount of money year over year over year. And it's because it was my identity. Like, if you asked me, Heather, how much money I made, I would tell you how much money I made. Like,
Oh, right.
it was just like, that's how I identified myself.
And yet I'm sure it was extraordinary, for like the average person, because you were like a high performing realtor. You were having probably a really great luxurious income that maybe even that you were satisfied with to some extent. But I love that you're saying this.
Yeah. So what happened is I was comparing myself to everybody else, right? Like, well, and I was comparing myself to whatever that was. And I was telling myself, because I was raised in an environment that, like, a lot of stay-at-home moms, which I respect the stay-at-home mom more than anybody, to be very
Oh yeah.
candid with you. But in my programming, my upbringing was, oh, I contribute XYZ to my household. Like, how great am I? Like, whatever, right? And it capped me. It literally, like, I was just complacent, and I was comparing myself to whatever. And then I had a friend call me out of the blue. She was one of those friends that you wouldn't talk to for a year, and then they'd call you and you're like besties, right?
Yeah.
And she called me out of the blue, and she said, I'm going to this training. This was a Thursday. It starts on Monday. She's like, I thought about you to come to it. And I'm like, okay. when is it? And she's like, Thursday. And she's like, but by the way, it's a shiz ton of money. And I'm like, well, what's a shiz ton of money? And she tells me, I'm like, okay. But she's like, I just think that you should, I think it would be great for you. So she got me on the call with the guy. I moved my whole schedule around. I think it was like 7 to 10 days of training. And I ended up going, and this is when I started learning, Heather, the neuroscience of like, I never understood. I mean, I had done trainings about like the IAMs and creating your IAM board and the vision board and like
Mm-hmm.
the foundational pieces of manifestation and creation, but I
Yes.
never understood how to actually like go and do it, right? And it was in that training what I started understanding. So here's what you need to do. Like I said, you need to design. So design 25 attributes. So if we're talking to women in, I'm going to use real estate because what I'm in, go design your ideal client. 25 attributes. So like somebody who's a fast decision maker, somebody who is abundant, blah, all the things that you'd want, right? Go
Yeah.
and design them. And then by designing it, you become that. You're like, well, if I want somebody to make a fast decision, then I need to be a fast decision maker and all these things. And so you start designing, and then the human brain is so powerful in terms of
Mm-hmm.
of creation. And here's the thing, Heather, is most of us we're a product of our surroundings, so we're not dreaming. Like as adults, we've stopped dreaming of like what could it be, right? And so they have you write down like 100 experiences and 100 memories that you'd want to create, and 100 like um, things you'd want to purchase. And it has nothing to do with the material. It's just to start getting you like dreaming about like what could it be, and then your mind just starts going to work on it. And so
That's kind of incredible because, 100 seems like a lot. It's like we go like name five, whatever, or think where you want to be in 5 years or something like that. This 100 is, like I would imagine you'd run out at 30. You'd have to really start thinking about it, and you'd probably come up with answers that would surprise you or that you maybe didn't know were there.
Or they also have you do something like a 90-year vision plan, because we're like, but this is why, is because the human brain, like let's say you want to fly on a private jet. Oh, I want a private jet, but in your mind you're like you're justifying it. You're like, yeah, right. I'm never gonna have a private jet. Like that's
Right.
dumb. So you just don't think that you're gonna do it. But Heather, in 90 years, we'll all be flying on private jets. Like that'll be a thing, right? And so it's just having your brain like, yeah, that's normal. I mean, if you think about it, I'm going to date myself here. Uh, I didn't even have a cell phone in high school. Like, think about it. Like, we didn't like how much the world has changed in 20 years.
Yeah, we are
Uh,
bridging so much massive change, and I'm with you there. I mean, I think Cyndi Lauper and Madonna were a thing,
yeah,
and tying ribbon, pieces of
yeah.
sweatshirt into our hair. Yes.
Yeah. So it's really starting to think about like, wow, how much can happen in 20 years? So
Mhm.
like, think about if there's something you want, how feasible that's going to be. So it's really been 4 years. In the last 4 years, so what happened is I wrote down in that training all these things, and I lucid charted it out and did all this stuff. And then he said at the end of it, he goes, I want you to write down something that if you know it happened, this training was true or whatever. And I wrote like, I want to make the same amount of money I make in a month and a year. And fast forward, I have done that in the past. And it's one of those things where it's like, it just started me being like, oh yeah, well, why can I not? And this is one of the contexts that I actually loved this saying, is I was in a private coaching session and I said, so I made a comment. I'm like, well, everybody, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, who's everybody?
Ah,
And I'm all,
such a great question.
because if you think about it, and I'll just use money for in a context, but it's anything, right? There's people that you are like super rich to. Like there's people who are poor and you would be like the most rich human out there, right? There's people in Africa and all whatever, right? And then there's people that like would think I'm the poorest human on the planet, right? There's the billionaires and the whatever. Like who's everybody? everybody's who we're comparing ourselves to. So when you start looking at it, you're like, well, wait a minute. Like I can do this because there's like people who's done it before or more, or people who are not. Like then you start being like, well, what is it that I actually do want? Because there's people doing what I want to do, and that's when it starts getting really fun. Of like, well, I'm going to design who I want to be and what I want to create, and then the key to it is you got to show up as if you've already had it. So, like if you want to be a six-figure, seven-figure, eight-figure woman, like ask yourself, like, what is the woman who makes $1 million a year? Like, does she wear pajamas to work, or is she out of bed and doing her thing? Is she investing in herself? Is she putting herself in coaching? Is she who's she surrounding herself with? Like you just have to start showing up as that person, and then you'll start receiving what they receive. So
Yeah, and I love that because I mean, talk about a mic drop statement. Like, who do you need to be to get that life? And I love that also you can understand just by the simple fact of going, there are models for most of what I'm up to. Therefore, it is possible, but also, therefore, I can use that model and try to, gain some knowledge from that. And I can start acting like that. It's that old statement, fake it till you make it. But, and I've heard Gary Keller say, this as well, live the schedule of the person that you want to be if you want to be that person, and also to understand what it takes. To say I want is one thing, but to also apply yourself in the what is required to get there. And you can try to get there faster, and you can hack it, and you can do all kinds of things and shortcut it, but you still have to live whatever that daily life, that daily schedule, that daily commitment is, and the mindset around it. Because like you were just mentioning, do you just wander in at 10 in your pajamas, or is this whole morning, this whole thing that happens for that person to arrive ready to greet whatever that schedule is of that billionaire or $1 million a month producer? What does that look like? And so that kind of leads me to one of the other things that I wanted to ask you today, and that is, in a day, what at the granular level do you do to show up as fully as you need to be? And I think you know what that is, that you go, tomorrow's a big day, I need to put myself together in a way that makes sense. What preparatory things do you do? What is your sort of like miracle morning? What does that look like for you?
yeah, it depends. So I usually actually protect my mornings. I don't usually start my mornings crazy early, because I actually do like to get up and have some thinking time. It's actually probably when I'm the most productive. So I'm going to go against what everybody says of like get up and go work out and da da da. I actually love to get up and read and get to work, and then I'll usually go work out in the middle of the day or end of day, because it's just when I keep myself fresh. But I protect my mornings, so a lot of times I won't even start till 10 a.m., especially Mondays. Like, so my Monday schedule is, I would say I quote unquote take Mondays off. I don't take Mondays off, but you are not getting on my schedule unless you're one of my like core, who I lead, and then I'm going to have a Monday sesh with you, right? So 10 a.m. is when my day starts generally, unless I'm doing a coaching call, then it's 9. And then I am very purposeful of, I eliminate things off my calendar. I say no to most people. I actually say no to most of these, to be honest with you. I just love you. And
I love you. This is a common refrain, by the way, that I hear more and more as, among all my friends that are baddies like you. They're saying no. They're saying no a lot more than they're saying yes. They're being really cautious about their time. And absolutely was like, I don't know if it's music to my ears so much, but it's just amazing to hear you say that with your mornings, because I know how fit you are, and I just kind of assume that you're getting up and like grinding out 2 hours at the gym. But I protect my mornings too. I am really big on sleep, and it's not like I'm sleeping in. I just like wake up at 5:30, 6:30 would be the latest anyway. But I am very much, is such a thought invoking time. Nobody's budget.
Oh, I love it. I mean, I think we live in this culture and society where they're like 5 a.m. and Heather, I did that for years. I mean,
Yeah.
I did have little kids, and I was at Pilates at 5 or 5:30 so that I could
Wow.
be home while they were sleeping. I could get them up and do all those things. So like, I did live that life for many many years, and it served its time and purpose. Now though, like my kids are older as well. My youngest is 16. She's capable of being home by herself and things like that, right? And let's face it, at nighttime she's off with her friends or doing her thing, and so there is more freedom and flexibility in my schedule later in the day or whatnot. And so I actually love my sleep too. Like I'm a 6:30 or 7 a.m., which I would have never. Like I said, I was the girl getting up at 5 or before to be at the gym by 5. But I just actually find myself actually staying up later because I do have a teenager that I'm like, where are you? Like, and so it's like sometimes I'm not going to sleep till like midnight.
Yeah, they're available late, and that's when they suddenly get in a good mood. I notice my boys are 22 and almost 20, and I'm like, why are they so cheerful at after 8 p.m.? I'm starting to get tired, and they're like, hey, mom, oh my gosh, about my day, and I want to be there for that. So I love that you said that.
Yeah, I'm a lot of times I'll stay up like and she gets home at midnight and then I'm in the kitchen talking to her and to your point, like that's when they want to talk to you. And so I just think I would give women that there's time and seasons in your life and you've got to do what's right for you and what works for your family. And so I'm not going to get out here and be like, I'm grinding at 5 a.m. because it's just not true. Like,
Yeah.
and I do protect my time. I say no a lot. If it's not somebody that I'm like, I really like you. So I was like, sure, that would be, it would be a fun conversation. But I get approached about these multiple times a week and I'm like, I don't have time. Right. And then I would just say, I'm very purposeful right now about the leverage. And so like, I have a house manager. I have, this
Hmm.
is this is like I have somebody who come to my house and blow dries my hair twice a week. I know people are like, what? But like these are extensions. They take forever.
I, yes, fantastic. Yeah, because beauty takes time and you want to look your best. And so you literally just life hacked beauty. Like, because yes, you always look amazing and put together. I have extensions as well. So like, they take a lot of work. And that's so great that you said that. And a house manager on another podcast, I interviewed Justin Nelson, CEO of Sphere Rocket, which I also white label through Excellence VAs. And it's definitely one of those new concepts, but it's not new at all to the billionaire set. It's not new at all to the multimillionaire set. It's totally normal that they would have additional help. And in everything that you're saying, what I hear when you say no a lot and when you choose to bring someone to your house to do your hair because now you're saving the drive and everything, what I hear is the opportunity cost of not doing that. Because the fact that you're doing this allows you to go have a much higher billing rate per hour, literally launch a whole new company in the time you saved in 3 months of doing your life this way.
Yeah. Well, like to give you context, so she comes on Thursdays. Yesterday today's Friday. This won't go out on Friday, but like context here, like the hour that it took her to blow dry my hair and curl it and stuff, I wrote all my emails for the upcoming week for my database. Like it just makes it to where I was like, okay, I can do this while she's doing that. Or like the house manager piece, like my kids don't care who buys the groceries and cleans and does the laundry. They just really would like it done, right? And so it just works. And so I would just say give yourself permission. Like a life hack, the way if you want to figure it out is what do you make? So let's say you make $100,000 a year. There's roughly about 2,080 hours that people
Yep.
work in a year. You divide that by, so you divide, let's say 100 divided by 2,080. That's roughly about, just for easy math, I know it's not exact, but roughly about $50 an hour. So could you pay somebody to mow your lawn and go, that time they're mowing lawn, you can make more money, or spend the time with your family. Like a lot
Yeah.
of times I'm using the leverage for the luxury piece too of like, I want to spend this time with my family, not doing laundry or whatever, right? And so I just think as women, give yourself the permission, like you can have it all. Like you can have it all. You just have to decide what that is.
Yes, and you can have it all, but that doesn't mean you need to be hands-on physically doing it all. And so that kind of brings me to my question on, being a CEO. So last fall, I listened to Via Williams and others on stage really kind of repeat a common phrase and refrain that I thought was really interesting, and that was being in the messy middle. And I understand we were having a conversation a lot about real estate at the time, although it really does, I think, apply across so many industries. I was in business in the corporate world before real estate, and so I'm always looking to how the everything from a mom and pop coffee shop to whatever small corporation or big corporation, that messy middle. Can you define that term and explain why maybe getting out of that is beneficial to the business and to the CEO or the entrepreneur?
Yeah, I would say the messy middle is when you're creating a business, but you still have a job, meaning the business is still relying upon you, or maybe you don't have enough revenue to go hire the leverage, or you're just at that crucial point that you need to either raise capital or you need to hire more leverage. And a lot of people don't make it past that. They don't make it past it because either their identity of being a true leader and being like, well, if I hold my capital responsible and I hire the right person, then it will 10x what I do, right?
Hmm.
Or sometimes they maybe are like, they're afraid to lose control and they're like, well, I'm the only person who can do it. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why people don't make it out of the messy middle, but here's what I would say to you. There's just a lot of freedom when you can start truly being like, did I create a high paying job for myself, or did I actually create a business for myself? And what needs to happen from a leverage point and a finance point? I will tell you, a lot of my growth came in the last 5 years from uh, early 2020. I was really burned out, Heather, and I had been in real estate for 15 years, and I went to one of my coaches, and he's like, "Well, Spring, it's because you're not treating it like a real business." And
Hmm.
that was like a little bit of a gut punch because, of course, we all think we have
Yeah,
these businesses,
for
right?
sure.
And he was like, "You need to hire some leverage, and you need to hold your finances responsible. Like, know your numbers, because if you know your numbers, then you can make educated decisions to grow and scale." And so that's when we got really granular about like where our, again, we're in the real estate space, so like what our cost of goods sold, what our profit margins were, where can I add on additional leads if they cost me this much, how much of a ROI can I hire this employee at $120,000 a year, but he should bring in an extra 500, like just those things that then knowing it and then being the who around that can make that happen. And that's where your identity has to shift a little bit of, okay, I'm going to go into really being a leader here and being somebody who can lead and manage other people. And that takes some skills. And if it's not you and you're like, that's not me, like there's pieces of like the business I have had to hire leaders that could do that, right? So
Yes.
it's first of all just being aware of where you're really at and then making the decision, what do you really, really want? Do you want to get out of the messy middle? Because if you do, it's going to take a different identity of how you're going to show up for it.
Yes, and really, where do you thrive? It's almost like if you were to interview yourself for the ideal job,
Yep.
knowing what in fact that is, because
Yep.
just because you want to grow or you think it's a natural next step for your business, it doesn't mean that you need to be the one to do exactly X. It
Right.
could just be that where you fit best in your own business could be, in production or baking the cookies or whatever it is. But if you want to see that growth, that could look quite different because, like you mentioned, maybe I go hire a high level manager. One of our shared coaches, I actually love one of the things he used to always say, which was, you don't need to buy or whatever this next system. You need a who. And I just remember always, where is that who, and is it even someone who's already in my organization that I could just elevate them and give them a new job. And it makes me think all the time, what is the highest and best purpose of each person in my organization? and what is the highest and best purpose of me, and knowing that that also can change over time. And like you said, you need the skills. If you are gonna give yourself that promotion, what would you have another person do, learn, be, get trained up to do, whatever it is? And then you need to go apply that to yourself. You can't just expect that income to come and expect those skills to come. You know, I even read books about how to be a mom. I was like, I have a toddler. I have no idea what to do here. I'm going to read, Toddler Whisper or whatever it was. Those were amazing. And so it's like anything in life, you got to, I think, level yourself up with some knowledge to then own that next position, or find the person that has the thing you want and go learn from them or model them in some way. So I have another question for you about leverage. You've talked about how you've used it in your home. You've talked about how you've utilized leverage in your business. I want to talk about the concept of partnerships, because I know that this is something that I think you in particular, from what I'm seeing, have done this really well. And I think that you have been able to create and hold partnerships and are building new ones. And I want to give you a moment to talk about what's next as well and what you're up to after this. But how have partnerships occurred for you? Are they organic? Do you seek them? How can you state the role in like what partnerships has played for you in your recent business successes?
Yeah. No, I'm a firm believer in partnerships. I actually have partners in every one of my businesses. So,
and that's something I didn't know, because I can say from a business owner perspective, it's a little scary. A lot of us are kind of, I don't know, controlling, or control freak or fearful, because it's like my baby. And so, yeah, let's hear about that.
I'm actually not controlling. It's interesting. I don't have a like, oh, it's my baby either, which is, I know it's unique, right? But yeah, so I mean, the real estate team, it was me, and then I brought in partners in the last few years because I believe that there's growth through partnership. It's actually one of my core values in some of my businesses, and so I have partners. Like I have a title company, for example. I know nothing about title other than the real estate part. So to go open a title company, no. So I partnered with somebody who can open a title company and do the business side, and then I can do the part that I'm good at. Same with the mortgage. We have a mortgage joint venture. So I partnered with the people who knew how to put together the mortgage joint venture, and then we do the other component of it, right? Same with real estate. Like I partnered with Place. Place has been a great partner. They offer a lot of back-end infrastructure and health insurance and all the things that create like some of the business side. Then where I'm great at the human coaching and capital side of it, right?
Yeah.
And so same with like my coaching company. Justin's a partner in that. To even I look at RevShare as partnership. Like I'm not going to grow my revenue share organization without having really great strategic partners. And so everything in my life is a great partnership. And I just believe that life and business isn't meant to be done alone. And there's strength in that. Now, with that being said, you obviously need to have the right partners, right? And be a great partner too. And so they have happened somewhat organically. Some were strategic, like the team I brought in Place, that was a strategic partnership. The gentleman I did the title company with, I worked with him for like 10 years, so I like had that relationship. My mortgage company is actually a Simply Mortgage joint venture, which I've had a great relationship with them before too. So everybody I'm in partnership with, I didn't just go in out of the gate as a partner. We've had a previous relationship that we were like, yes, let's go do this,
Yeah, it's almost that concept of, elevating from within, or even just taking existing relationships that you can see there's a possible future in that. And I think that comes again to that wisdom that you have and your own ability to see something and to trust your gut to just go for it. Have you had partnerships that haven't worked, or that you've had to, obviously not naming names, but like or ideas where you've had to go, okay, let's launch this, and then whoa, a year or two later or a month later, let's change that out.
Yeah, so actually you came to She Summit. So that was when we launched year before, and we pulled it back. We pulled it back, that event, that was our last event.
Yeah.
It was just the wrong time. It was, we had the best of intentions with it.
Hmm.
I think that we fast forward to now could probably do it better. But V and I are best friends. So um, it wasn't a issue of like our partnership. It was just the wrong timing. Great idea, just a lot of work, and I was like, I don't have the capacity for this. So yeah, we have done things that we've pulled back and said, maybe this isn't the right thing. And I've had partnerships that, because some of these joint ventures, you bring in other people to come in and whatnot to be a part of it. I've had people that we've had come in and that we've ultimately decided to part ways. I I don't have any issue with it. Like, I just
Yeah.
believe if you start it correctly with the right paperwork and the right expectations, like, then if it's not going to work, then we get to part ways. And if we were friends before, then we'd be friends after. And if we weren't, then I guess it is what it is, right? And so I value my partners tremendously. And I would say I'm a great partner. And I have great partners. And if there's something that's not working, we're having conversations around it. But for the most part, everything has been pretty great. So,
That's great too. And just the fact that, you can have explosive growth if you reach out for help. I know another one of our coaches, I want to say it's Ben Kenny, has said there's no extra prize for getting to the finish line alone. Um, and it is something that sticks in my head too, because it really does sound like wisdom. And I have seen what you've been able to do with partnerships. So I know that we're nearing kind of our end in time. And again, I want to thank you for coming, but I also wanted to ask, I know you're up to some killer stuff right now. I am aware, and I wanted to know what you wanted to share with our audience, and also, how can they connect with you? What are you up to that maybe someone who goes, wow, I want to be in the world of this woman, and how can I learn from her, whatnot? How does that work?
yeah, well, thank you. We have a couple of different things. So follow me on the gram. It's realspringbee.com or realspringbee. My website, springbee.com. Yeah, we have some coaching. We have some mastermind groups. We are primarily in the real estate space. We are going to do another women's event in November. We're just going to do it different. But we are excited about that. And I would just say, or follow me, just follow me. I do have a lot of stuff. We're building out an EXP community. It's called Upgrade. That's fun. Now that EXP has launched co-sponsorship, you and I can do it together.
Which is phenomenal. And I'm so excited for that. Literally, I'm so excited for that because it allows people to cross collaborate. And it's like you just said, the wisdom of partnership. Like, you know, I like what you're doing, you like what I'm doing, we're both up to stuff. How can that work together? And maybe not every idea is perfect at its inception, but if you have great people and they have similar aligned visions, and like you said, the paperwork is aligned or whatever, and the co-sponsorship thing just makes it so clean and I think so brilliant on EXP's part.
Oh, it's such a game changer. I was on a call earlier today and they're like, "What do I do here?" Then I'm like, "Let's just all co-sponsor. Like it'll weave all of us together." And they're
Yeah.
like, "You don't even know that that's a thing." I'm like, "It's a thing. Let me walk you through it." So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I 100% love that. Well, I just want to say again how much I appreciate you. And it is so fun to have seen your rise, just the two snapshots in time. It was like 2018, 2024. I went, whoa. And then it was amazing to attend your event. It is amazing to have heard you speak in front of thousands on stage and to watch the crowd just explode. You always give so much more than the expectation, I think, and just being in your world is so instructive. And it just gives me always more excitement for what is possible in my career, in the career of others, in what's possible in this industry, in, all the other ways that, holding onto your coattails or just kind of watching you rise, and just knowing that, yes, women can have it all. You need to leverage yourself. You need to have good partnerships. You need to have an amazing partner in your home. And you need to be willing to take time for yourself and figure out how to hack that thing that is you, and program yourself. And I think all of that is just extraordinary in you. And so I want to thank you again so much, Spring. You are a phenomenal human, and I appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you to all of our listeners and watchers today. Please like and subscribe. And thank you again for joining our podcast, Women Who Rise. In this episode of Women Who Rise, Spring taught us about several things that I want to highlight for you today. Investing in personal growth and development. She really did take the time and the expenditure to work on the inside so that she could develop who she wanted to be as a person, and that could allow her to step into future iterations of herself. I can tell you this is so consistent with people at that highest level. Number two, she said, saying no and protecting your time. She simply said she says no more often than she says yes. This has allowed her to really focus on core functions, and she's protecting her time. She's valuing her morning. She's valuing her late nights when she can speak with her kids, and she's making sure that she's not overstrapping herself as an individual, and that she can instead show up at her best when she needs to do so. Third, she talked about scaling your business and running a larger organization. Get out of the messy middle. This is huge because if you do have an organization and you're finding that you are wearing too many hats, you're baking the pies, you're doing everything, there is a lot to be said for starting to leverage yourself. By the way, yes, absolutely, you can do that through better, virtual assistants, through hiring people locally and otherwise, and through just figuring out how perhaps to outsource certain things to outside organizations. This is huge. Number four, leveraging partnerships to enhance business growth and success. So really, like she said, she has no ego in that fight. She simply does not need to be the one doing everything in all aspects of every business. She recognizes her strengths and she recognizes the strengths of others, and she's able to create clean, clear, rules of partnerships, great contracts. Like she said, if it's in writing and it's clear and it's well communicated, she knows what to expect from those partners, and she's able to give out a chunk of responsibility or business area of responsibility to someone else, another organization, and she's able to create more together than they could in their organizations individually. This is absolute dynamite as well. So visit our website to find our episode guide and the worksheet that will help you use these tips to take action in your own life. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you on the next episode of Women Who Rise.